Welcome back to the Slow Almanac. I'm Ali. Tonight we wander together, slowly, to a place where nothing is in a hurry, and neither are we. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, take a moment to subscribe before we begin. That way the next slow story will find you on Sunday night. Let your weight settle where you are. Let the surface beneath you hold you completely. There is nothing you need to do tonight, nothing to remember, no decision waiting at the end of this. There is only a cold mountain stream and a low wooden building beside it, and the sound of water moving over stone in the dark. Let your jaw go loose. Let your hands open. Let your eyes, if they are still open, find a soft place to rest. We are going somewhere very quiet, a workshop beside a stream in winter, where paper is being made the way it has been made for many hundreds of years, slowly, by hand, in cold water. The workshop sits at the edge of a mountain valley, where a stream comes down from a ridge still carrying the cold of the high ground above. The water is clear. You can see the stones on the bottom, gray and rust-colored and pale, worn smooth. The stream is not wide. You could step across it in 3 careful strides, but it is steady, and it is cold, and it runs all through the winter without slowing. The building is low, made of dark timber, with a roof that slopes gently on both sides. Smoke rises from a vent somewhere near the center. Inside, there is warmth from a small fire, but only just enough warmth. The cold is part of the work here. The cold is not something to be overcome. You are standing just outside the entrance. The morning is early. The light is gray and flat, the kind of light that doesn't cast shadows. The mountains above are half hidden in low cloud. The stream beside you moves without hurrying. You can hear it clearly, a low and even sound, the same sound it made yesterday and will make tomorrow. The workshop door is open. Inside, someone is already working. You can hear the slow, rhythmic sound of something wet being pressed and lifted. You can smell the water, and beneath it something faintly green, faintly earthy, the smell of plant fiber that has been soaking for a long time. Step inside. The room is long and narrow. Along one wall, there are wooden vats, low, wide, filled with water so cold it has a faint shimmer to it. Beside the vats, flat wooden boards lean against the wall in rows, pale and clean. At the far end of the room, A fire burns low in a stone hearth, and above it, a large pot holds water that is just beginning to steam. The floor is wet, the air is wet. Everything in this room is touched by water in some way. The timber walls have absorbed years of moisture and turned a deep, even gray. The smell of the room is clean: cold water, wood, and something else. A faint sweetness that is hard to place. It is the smell of the inner bark of the paper mulberry tree, which has been here, soaking, for the past several days. The person working at the nearest vat does not look up. They are doing what they have done every winter morning for many years, and your arrival does not change anything about the work. The work has its own pace, and that pace is slow, and it is steady, and it is not going to hurry for any reason. You find a place to stand near the wall where you are out of the way. You lean back against the cool timber. The stream outside continues its low sound. The fire at the far end of the room ticks softly as the wood settles. This is a paper workshop, and tonight we are going to stay here a while. Let me say it again, in a different way. You are in a low wooden building beside a cold mountain stream in winter. The light outside is gray. The air inside is cool and damp and faintly sweet. Along the wall, wide wooden vats hold water so cold it is nearly still. Flat boards lean in rows. A fire burns low at the far end. This is where paper is made. Not in a factory, not by a machine. Here, in this room, by these hands, in this water, one sheet at a time. The stream outside is doing what streams do, moving, carrying cold water down from the high ground, over stone, through the valley, past this building. It has been doing this for a long time. The workshop was built beside it on purpose. The water matters. The cold matters. The slowness of it all matters. You are leaning against the wall. The wood is cool through your clothes. The sound of the stream is steady and low. The person at the vat lifts and presses, lifts and presses. There is no other sound except the fire and the water and your own slow breath. The story of how a sheet of paper comes to be in this room is a long story, and it begins weeks before this morning and miles from here on the hillside above the valley. The paper mulberry tree grows on slopes like this one. A small tree, not tall, with broad pale leaves and bark that is rough to the touch on the outside and smooth within. In late autumn, when the leaves have fallen, the branches are cut. Not all of them. The tree is left with enough to go on growing. The cut branches are bundled and brought down to the workshop. The bundles are steamed over water in a long, low vessel. The steam loosens the outer bark from the inner. After an hour or so, the outer bark can be peeled away in long strips, revealing the inner bark beneath. Pale, slightly glossy, the color of cream. This inner bark is the material the paper will be made from. It is set aside to dry, and it can wait, bundled and stored, for months if needed. When the papermaker is ready to begin, the dried inner bark is soaked in cold water. This is called retting, and it is not a process you can watch change in real time. It happens slowly, over days. The fibers in the bark begin to soften and separate. The water works its way between them, gently, without force. The bark becomes more pliable. It begins to smell of the water it has been sitting in, clean, a little green, a little earthy. After several days, the retted bark is taken out of the water and laid on a flat stone. Any remaining outer bark, dark patches, rough spots, is scraped away by hand, carefully, with a small blade. This is slow work. It requires attention, but not urgency. The papermaker moves along the length of each strip, removing what doesn't belong, leaving only the pale inner fiber. The cleaned fiber is rinsed in the stream, held in the cold water, shaken gently, rinsed again. The stream carries away what the scraping loosened. The fiber emerges very clean, very pale, almost white. Now the fiber is cooked. In the pot at the far end of this room, the one you can see above the low fire, the one that is just beginning to steam, the fiber is simmered in water mixed with wood ash lye. The alkaline water breaks down the last of the bonds between the fibers, the non-cellulose material that would make the paper stiff and brittle. What the cook is after is pure cellulose, flexible, strong, long-fibered. The cooking takes a few hours. The pot is not rushed. When the cooking is done, the fiber is rinsed again, thoroughly. The stream outside takes the spent water away. The fiber, now soft and loose and very pale, is gathered into a bundle and brought back to the flat stone. The beating begins. This is the sound you heard from outside, the low, rhythmic thud of a wooden mallet on wet fiber. The papermaker takes a bundle of the cooked bark and places it on the stone. Then, with a heavy wooden mallet, they begin to beat it. Slowly, steadily, not with great force, but with great patience. The beating does something precise. It breaks the long cellulose fibers apart without cutting them. The fibers fray at their ends, developing tiny branches, fibrils, that will later help them bond to one another in the finished sheet. A fiber that has been well beaten holds more water, spreads more easily in the vat, and bonds more strongly to its neighbors. The quality of the beating shapes the quality of the paper. This takes a long time. The mallet rises and falls. The fiber is turned, repositioned, beaten again. The sound is soft and regular. Outside, the stream moves. Inside, the mallet falls. When the beating is finished, the fiber is placed in the vat of cold water. The vat is large and shallow, and the water in it is very cold. Cold from the stream, cold from the winter air in this room. Into the water, the papermaker also adds a small amount of a mucilaginous liquid, made from the root of a plant that grows nearby, pounded and strained. This liquid is clear and slightly viscous, it does something important. It slows the drainage of the water through the forming sheet, giving the fibers more time to arrange themselves evenly. It is a kind of patience added to the water. The beaten fiber is placed in the vat and stirred gently with a wooden paddle. The fibers disperse into the water, spreading out, becoming a thin suspension. The water turns slightly milky. The fibers are invisible in it individually, but they are there, millions of them, floating, moving slowly, waiting. The papermaker lifts a wooden frame, a mold strung with very fine bamboo strips tied with silk thread, laid close together. They lower the frame into the vat at a shallow angle, then lift it, scooping the fiber water suspension up onto the surface of the mold. Then they rock it, forward and back, side to side, gently, in a motion that is almost like the motion of water itself. This rocking is the heart of the work. As the water drains through the bamboo strips, the fibers settle onto the surface of the mold and begin to interlace. The rocking encourages them to lie in multiple directions, crossing and recrossing, so that the finished sheet will be strong in all directions, rather than just one. A sheet made without this motion would be weak, would tear easily along the grain. The rocking makes it whole. The water drains slowly. The cold slows it further. The fiber mat on the mold thickens, very slightly, with each pass. The papermaker may dip and rock 3 times, or 5, or more, depending on how thick they want the sheet to be. Each dip adds another thin layer of fibers, settling over the ones below. When the sheet is formed to their satisfaction, the papermaker carries the mold to a low rack and sets it there to drain. The water continues to leave, slowly, through the bamboo. The fiber mat grows denser as the water goes. It is still very fragile at this stage. If you touched it now, it would tear without resistance. It is held together only by the water it still contains, and by the first faint entanglement of the fibers with each other. After draining, the wet sheets are couched, laid carefully onto a stack of damp boards, 1 sheet per board, each one placed with a slow, even pressure. The sheets are pressed overnight, gently, to remove more water. In the morning, they are peeled from the boards, each one in a single piece, if the work has gone well, and laid out on smooth wooden drying boards, brushed flat with a soft brush, 1 stroke at a time. The boards are set in the open air or near the warmth of the fire, depending on the weather. The remaining water evaporates. As it goes, the fibers draw closer together, bonding to one another through hydrogen bonds, the same bonds that hold water molecules together, now holding cellulose fibers to cellulose fibers. No glue, no heat press, just water leaving slowly, and fiber finding fiber. When the sheet is dry, it lifts from the board cleanly. It is thin, sometimes almost translucent, if the fiber was beaten long and the sheet formed light. You can hold it to the window and see the shadow of your hand through it. But it is strong, stronger for its weight than most things made by machine. The long fibers, the careful beating, the slow cold water, all of it shows up in the finished sheet as a kind of quiet resilience. This is what is happening in this room, around you, right now. The vat holds its cold water. The mold drains on its rack. The boards along the wall are waiting for tomorrow's sheets. The fire holds the pot at a gentle simmer. The stream outside carries the rinse water away and brings clean cold water in. Everything in this room is part of one long, patient process, and every part of it moves at the pace the material requires. Not faster, not slower, just this. Come back to where you are standing. The wall is cool at your back. The stream outside is steady and low. The person at the vat is still working, lifting the mold, rocking it gently, setting it on the rack. The fire at the far end of the room holds its warmth without rushing. The boards along the wall are pale and clean, waiting. The water in the vat is still slightly milky from the fibers dispersed in it. The air smells of cold water and plant fiber and the faint sweetness of wood ash. This room has been doing this work for a long time. The stream has been running past it for longer. The mountains above have been shedding their cold water into the valley since before anyone thought to build a workshop here and catch some of it in a wooden vat. You are just passing through. That is fine. The room doesn't need anything from you. The process will continue when you leave. The fire tending itself, the water draining, the fibers finding each other in the cold. If you'd like more of these, you can follow along quietly. The button is just below this video. Sleep well. The stream moves outside. The mallet falls once and then is still. The boards lean against the wall in their quiet rows. Somewhere on a drying board, a sheet of paper is becoming itself. Water leaving, fiber settling, the thinnest possible thing growing slowly strong. You are very still. The room is very still. The water moves outside, over stone, in the dark.